Have you ever felt your heart sink just because someone else seemed a little happier than you? Maybe a colleague received praise in front of everyone. Maybe a friend posted photos of a luxurious trip while you were still struggling with work. Maybe a stranger shared an achievement you had quietly dreamed of for years. And in that brief moment, something inside you tightened. Subtle, almost imperceptible, like metal brushing against stone, yet strong enough to unsettle your entire mind. It's a feeling we rarely name, a feeling we often deny, but a feeling nearly everyone carries within them: envy. We live in an era where a single scroll on social media exposes us to the brightest, happiest, most successful version of everyone we know. What's strange is that we don't truly know what lies behind those images. We don't know what they've been through. We don't know if they are genuinely happy, and we don't know their private battles. Yet with just a few photos or a few lines of text, something inside us begins to shrink. It becomes so easy, too easy to believe that we are falling behind, that life seems to favor others while ignoring us. And from that unforgettable moment, a small kind of decay begins within the heart. Not the kind you can see, not the kind you can touch, but the kind that quietly erodes, like vapor wearing away stone. Outwardly, you go on with life. You laugh, you work, you talk to people. But somewhere deeper, something begins to shift. A trace of resentment, a trace of self-doubt, a trace of comparison. All of these tiny fragments merge together and form a subtle yet powerful poison of the soul: envy. What most people overlook is that envy does not come from the outside. It's not because others are more talented, more attractive, or more fortunate. It comes purely from how we perceive ourselves. If you were truly confident in who you are, if you truly understood your own path, then someone else's success would not intimidate you. In fact, it would inspire you. But that's not how most of us live. Most of us are unsure of our own worth. We are uncertain of our direction. And when someone appears to have what we long for, that fragile part within us rises to the surface. People often think of envy as a fleeting emotion. But philosophy, religion, and psychology all point to a deeper truth. Envy is one of the most destructive forces a human heart can harbor. It doesn't merely make us unhappy. It distorts the way we see the entire world. When we envy, we view life through a warped lens. Another person's success becomes our failure. Their joy becomes our sorrow. We no longer see reality as it is. We see only what resonates with our insecurities. Many people carry envy for years without even recognizing it. They blame society, their family, their circumstances, anything but themselves, and that denial slowly exhausts them. They don't realize that every moment of envy is a blow to their self-worth. No one else is hurting them. They are hurting themselves. In Buddhism, envy is classified as one of the 5 poisons, mental states that cloud wisdom and pull people into suffering. In Stoic philosophy, envy arises from the illusion of comparison, a belief that our worth is determined by something external. One philosopher once said, "Nothing is more toxic than comparing yourself to another. It is the surest way to lose peace." And indeed, when we compare, we abandon our own life story and step into someone else's. But that is not where we belong, something away from. The tragedy is this: envy makes us believe others are taking something away from us. But the truth is the opposite. Envy is what takes things away from us: our joy, our clarity, our gratitude, our energy to grow. The heaviness in our heart does not come from others. It comes from the stories we tell ourselves. And because we don't want to appear envious, we hide it. Everyone wants to appear generous, noble, mature. So envy becomes a silent emotion, a shadow behind the mask. But a hidden emotion is not a healed emotion. It simply moves deeper, quietly forming cracks in the foundation of our inner world. Those cracks may not break us immediately, but they prevent our hearts from ever feeling whole. Perhaps the most frightening part of envy is not that it makes us uncomfortable, but that it makes us forget who we are. When envy takes over, we stop looking at our own journey. We no longer ask, "Who am I becoming?" Instead, we ask, "Why do they have what I don't?" The heart, which could have been a garden full of growth, becomes covered with the gray mold of resentment. And if we are not careful, that garden will slowly rot from within. That is why understanding envy is essential. Not to judge ourselves, but to uncover the unhealed places within. Envy reveals something important: a longing for acknowledgement, for wholeness, for validation. Beneath every jealous thought is a deeper truth waiting to be seen. If we have the courage to look directly at it, we can begin the path of transformation. And that leads us to the next part of this video. Why is envy so destructive? What actually happens inside the mind when jealousy takes root? And what can we do to free ourselves from this slow inner decay? Let's move forward and find the answers together. Envy, on the surface, appears to be nothing more than a momentary emotional reaction, an uncomfortable tightening in the chest, a silent sting in the mind, a quiet ache when someone else achieves something we long for. But if we look deeper, we begin to see that envy is an intricate emotional structure. It is not simply dissatisfaction with someone else. It is, first and foremost, dissatisfaction with ourselves. And from that internal imbalance, we start interpreting the world through distorted patterns of thought. To understand why envy can rot the heart from within, we must examine it through the lenses of philosophy, psychology, and lived experience. Stoic philosophy offers a striking insight. We are not hurt because others surpass us. We are hurt because we believe we should surpass them. This is the hidden core of envy. It is not reality that wounds us, but our expectation of who we think we ought to be. Consider two people witnessing the same event. A friend receives a promotion. One feels inspired, the other feels bitter. The event is the same, but the inner worlds are different. The emotion of envy emerges not from the event, but from the fragile places inside us. Envy thrives on comparison. Yet comparison itself is fundamentally unfair. We compare our talents to someone else's, but we never compare our struggles to theirs. We see their highlight reel, not their behind-the-scenes battles. We see the trophy, not the sleepless nights. And so we judge our lives with incomplete information and draw painful conclusions. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm failing. Maybe I'll never reach where they are. These thoughts, repeated over time, slowly hollow out the heart. Buddhism classifies envy as one of the mental poisons because it blinds us to truth. When envy arises, we stop seeing reality as it is. We see it only as our insecurity wants us to see. The world begins to appear unfair, tilted against us. Others seem to glide ahead effortlessly while we remain stuck in place. It's not that reality has changed, our perception has, and that distorted perception becomes the breeding ground for suffering. Modern psychology confirms what ancient wisdom already knew. When we feel envy, the brain releases cortisol, the hormone of stress. It disrupts focus, increases anxiety, weakens motivation, and drains mental energy. Think about it. A mind that is envious cannot work efficiently. It becomes obsessed not with personal growth, but with monitoring the progress of others. It becomes a surveillance system instead of a creative force. The more energy we waste looking outward, the less we have left to cultivate our own potential. This is why envy is so destructive. It redirects the attention that should nourish our growth toward the lives of others. It convinces us that our destiny depends on their journey. It turns our mind into a battlefield, not against others, but against ourselves. The ancient story of Cain and Abel illustrates this with painful clarity. Cain was not truly angry at Abel. He was angry at himself, at his own inadequacy, his own disappointment, his own unmet expectations. But because he lacked the courage to face himself, he projected that bitterness outward. Envy always seeks an external target, even though its true origin lies within. And if we do not confront the inner wound, we may end up hurting others or hurting ourselves without ever understanding why. In modern life, social media has amplified envy more than any era before it. All it takes is one image, someone's dream vacation, someone's perfect relationship, someone's glowing milestone. But we only see their best moments, perfect lighting, perfect poses, perfect timing. Meanwhile, we compare those perfect snapshots with our unpolished reality, our moments of exhaustion, loneliness, confusion, or self-doubt. It is an unfair comparison that we unconsciously accept as true. And from that acceptance, envy emerges, sharp and painful. Some people live their entire lives beneath the weight of envy. They are not slow to grow because they lack talent, but because they waste so much time watching others. Meanwhile, the people who progress the fastest are almost always those who rarely compare themselves to anyone. Their attention is turned inward. Their energy nourishes their own development. They are not dragged down by resentment because their focus is not on surpassing others, but on evolving themselves. Envy creates a silent prison. It traps us in a perpetual state of not enough. It whispers that others are ahead and we are behind, even when life is not a race. It tells us that someone else's joy diminishes our own, even though joy is not a limited resource. This mindset corrodes the heart. It keeps us from seeing the beauty of our own journey. The truth is simple. Envy does not arise because others have more. It arises because we believe we are less. But what if we stopped looking at others as threats to our worth? What if we viewed their success not as a reminder of our inadequacy, but as a reflection of what is possible? The moment we shift this perspective, the world transforms. The same event that once caused envy can suddenly spark inspiration. The same person we once resented can become a teacher. The same feelings that once made us bitter can become fuel for growth. The world is not a competition unless we choose to make it one. Life is not a marketplace where someone else's gain becomes our loss. Each person carries their own path, their own timing, their own destiny. Nothing that belongs to us can be taken by someone else, and nothing that belongs to someone else can fill the emptiness within us. And this brings us to the heart of the matter. Envy disappears not when the world becomes fair, but when we become whole. To break free from envy, we do not need to fix others. We need to return to ourselves, to our values, to our purpose, to the quiet voice within that says, you are becoming who you need to be. In the final part of this video, we will explore the climax of this journey. What truly happens when we face envy head-on? And how do we transform this corrosive emotion into a source of clarity, peace, and inner growth? Let's continue. There is a truth most of us avoid facing. Jealousy is never about others. It is always about us. And at a certain point in life, each of us must ask, do I want to live by my own light or stay twisted in the shadow of someone else? 1. The moment of confrontation, when we see the rot comes from within. Someone once said, no one can hurt us more deeply than our own mind. Jealousy proves this perfectly. When we envy the success of others, we dim our own accomplishments. We hang our self-worth on someone else's achievements. We walk through life constantly glancing sideways to see who's running faster. At that moment, we are no longer ourselves. We become a distorted reflection of someone else's life. And then one day, we wake up, look back at the years behind us, and whisper, why didn't I go further? The answer is painfully simple. Because we were too busy watching someone else's path to walk our own. That is when the inner decay begins. The decay of motivation, the decay of confidence, the decay of gratitude, the decay of compassion. A soul in that state may appear strong on the outside, but inside it is filled with invisible cracks. 2. Escaping jealousy. The journey begins with awareness. The beautiful thing is this: jealousy is not a life sentence. It is an invitation to grow. And there are 3 core realizations that free us from it. Realization 1. Everyone has their own clock. Your clock doesn't tick at the same pace as someone else's. Some succeed at 20. Some begin at 40. Some only find their life's meaning at 60. You are not late. You are simply moving at your own rhythm. When you truly understand this, comparison loses its power. Realization 2. Everyone carries burdens. We cannot see behind the success of any person our wounds, sacrifices, and silent battles. If we truly knew what they had to endure, we would no longer envy them. We would respect them. Most jealousy is rooted in the illusion that others have it easier. But life grants no one a smoother path. When we understand this, jealousy naturally softens into empathy. Realization 3. The best thing you can do is become yourself. If the world already has one version of the person you envy, what it lacks, what it desperately needs, is the best version of you. You don't need to win someone else's game. You only need to win against who you were yesterday. That alone is a real victory. 3. The climax. When we release jealousy, we unlock our greatest inner power. Imagine this. If all the energy you spend comparing, watching, resenting, and quietly hurting yourself over someone else's success was redirected toward building your own life, how powerful would you become? The truth is simple. Jealousy drains energy. Gratitude generates energy. And energy is the foundation of every action, every achievement, every transformation. When we release jealousy, we feel lighter, we become freer, our mind becomes clearer, and we finally have the strength to become who we were meant to be. The greatest people are not those who never felt envy. They are human too, but they learned how to turn jealousy into fuel for growth instead of fire that burns them from within. They learn from others instead of resenting them. They respect others' strengths to discover their own. They look at someone else's light to ignite their own, not to sink deeper into the dark. That is the highest form of personal evolution. 4. Call to action. Turning insight into power. Before we end this video, I want to ask you one question. A question powerful enough to change the quality of your life. Are you willing to become the best version of yourself instead of someone else's shadow? If your answer is yes, start with the smallest steps. When someone succeeds, say, "I'm happy for you." When jealousy rises, ask, "What is this emotion trying to teach me?" When you compare yourself, remind, "I have my own path." And each night, write down one thing you appreciate about yourself. You'll be surprised how quickly transformation begins. If this video resonated with you, if you want to continue exploring philosophy, psychology, and inner growth, leave a comment sharing your thoughts about jealousy and personal freedom. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel because we will continue bringing you videos that help you understand yourself more deeply, live with greater awareness, and step closer to the person you aspire to become. Thank you for being here. And always remember, a peaceful mind brings a brighter life. Letting go of jealousy is the first step toward peace.